every
a
single
it's a
time.
100 out of 100% layup for me. I'm not missing
That
that.
testosterone was right in Shane's face. He said, I can't, I'm powerless.
Hi, everyone.
Hello, hello, hello.
Welcome back to another episode of Top 5 Heated Rivalry podcast. Um, this week is a good one and something that I know Tyra and I have been looking forward to since we started the podcast.
Absolutely.
Last week, we talked about supporting characters, which was a good time to kind of switch off a little bit from Shane and Ilya. But this week, we are back talking about one of
The core two. The
two,
core two.
yes,
The core two.
of
The core two.
our
We're talking
favorite
about
pairing.
exactly. We are talking about the Shane Hollander, our client, our number one client. We will defend
Mm-hmm.
him with our heart and lives. Um,
As a good
but
man, Savannah.
that's a damn good man. Listen, I'm trying to find me a Shane Hollander. But this
Same.
week we are talking about the moments where Shane went above and beyond, where he overcame his fear, his
Mm.
anxiety, his doubt, and he was the brave man that we know and love him to be. And it's interesting, Nicole, doing
Yes.
these episodes, um, we're constantly trying to find new ways to like re-examine and look at these 6 episodes of television. And I think I found a really interesting through line when it comes to this episode of
Mm.
the trajectory of Shane's story arc, and just how his necessity to, live in his truth is usually the catalyst that sparks his bravery. So I'm really interested to get into this list today. I'm very excited.
Completely agree. What a word to start us off. Because because it's true. It is always rooted in Shane realizing that, the person that he is projecting or being perceived as is not where he is in that moment. And so what I
Mhm,
loved about the
mhm.
list that we came up with is that we looked at obviously some of the bigger moments for Shane and then Shane's role in some of the bigger Shane and Ilya moments. But then we
Yeah.
kind of looked at a deeper level with some of them on like in that actual scene or moment, what was the bravest part of it?
Mhm.
Um, and so we're
Yeah.
going to get to that. But then another thing we're doing, and we actually haven't really talked about this. So this is going to be on the spot us doing it.
Top secret.
Each, well, each ranking, we're going to say, we're going to rank the level of bravery it was for Shane based off of what we know about him in season 1 of Heated Rivalry.
Mhm.
So, I mean, they're all
Yeah.
going to be pretty high because this is a brave list, but
Mhm.
just
Yeah.
to liven it up a little bit than maybe some of our
Mhm.
normal top 5.
Yeah, yeah. You know, why not? Listen,
I mean,
I feel like this will do nothing but spark some good conversation in the comments. So
agree.
I'm very excited
Agree.
about that.
Okay, well, let's kick us off, Tyra. What is our number 5 Shane most brave moment?
So, starting off at our number 5 ranking, you guys, we have Shane Hollander from episode 1 opening that door to 1410.
Mm,
That is the brave moment.
brave.
Listen, brave, brave. I mean, we could talk about the moment leading up to it, the fact that he gave Ilya that room number.
1410?
Mhm.
But, you know, he had a lot of time to think about what was going to happen in that room once Ilya knocked on the door.
Hours.
Hours could have changed his mind. And to Ilya's point, I thought you would chicken out. And our
Mhm.
boy, standing 10 tones down, said,
I thought you might chicken out.
I'm not. I'm not a chicken.
I'm not a
I'm
chicken.
not chicken. And
I'm not
period.
chicken. And he isn't. Um, but what's so interesting to me about this scene? The bravery of this scene, truly for me, I feel like lies in the submission.
Mm,
Which I find really
mm.
interesting because considering the power dynamics we see play out sexually between Shane and Ilya throughout the season, but this is Shane like truly succumbing to his attraction.
Yep.
And with succumbing to that attraction, he's overcoming a level of doubt and fear. Um, and it's multi-layered as well, right? In this scene, because you have to think about intellectually what Shane is overcoming, right? First, he has to come to terms that he's attracted to a man.
Yep.
Secondly, he has to come to terms that his attraction to a man is Ilya, his rival, right?
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
then third, within that attraction to this person, he has to detach himself from the idea of who he's been, who he is, and who he's supposed to be both professionally and personally, right? And none
Yep.
of those things are him being gay. Like none of them. That
Mhm.
is like a straight cis het man who is the face of the league. Um,
Mhm.
and so I just found it so interesting that like intellectually Shane has every reason not to open that door. You know, if he took a step back and thought about what this action would do to his life and his career. But
Mhm.
it's again, it's this through line I feel of like necessity. There is a need that he can't ignore,
Yeah.
won't ignore,
Won't
um,
ignore.
won't ignore,
I
and I love it.
agree.
Yeah, I
I
love it.
I agree with you. I'm gonna reference my notes throughout this episode, but
Same.
something you said something you said, was along the same lines that I was thinking is, like, this was truly, like, the most selfish decision I think Shane had ever made up to this point,
Mhm.
because to your point, he's lived a whole entire life so far where he's
Yeah.
always had to have someone else in mind or having to think about if I made this decision or said this thing or was really truthful to myself, who would that harm? Who would that not protect? Who would, how would that change the way people perceive me? And this was the first time I felt like, obviously we didn't see that much of Shane before episode 1, but it felt like he put aside his thoughts about what it meant to be Shane Hollander, the hockey player, what it meant to be this
Mhm.
golden child son, and like the perception that he's this straight cis, you know, professional athlete, and give in to like the desires and what it is that he truly wanted in that moment. And I just felt like
Yeah.
that was like the biggest signal for him opening that door.
Mhm.
And it's really brave because Ilya, as he does as a through line throughout the season, the ball was completely in Shane's court. Like,
Yeah.
to your point, he
Yeah.
didn't have to open it.
No.
Like, he didn't have to even give him the number. And so there was just like a number of brave decisions that he made up into opening that door, even saying not now instead of like,
Well,
don't do that in the showers.
well,
He was just like,
well, Nicole,
don't do it
I
now.
don't know, I don't know if that V standing there in your face if you have enough power to resist not giving that man 14-10.
Girl, I mean, you already know, I already talked about that scene in a previous episode, and that bee and that towel, I'm giving in
Baby,
every time.
every
It's a
single
it's a
time.
100 out of 100% layup for me. I'm not missing
That
that.
testosterone was right in Shane's face. He said, "I can't. I'm powerless." Same, boo.
But I felt like, I was thinking about this scene specifically when you open the door. To me, it was like I said it was, emotionally, he's opening the door to a version of himself he's never fully explored or allowed himself to, and that
Mhm.
door never shut the rest of the season. And I just thought
Mhm.
that that was like I don't think he understood, or Ilya really, but like him opening that door at that moment was such a bigger deal than just like, "Oh, we're just gonna have a little hookup. I'm just curious about what this is." Like, I'm attracted to him physically. It's
Right.
like, no, that was probably one of the biggest decisions that Shane has ever made, even
Mhm.
looking back on it from episode 6, right?
Mhm. Right. And this is why I feel like it's something that is just very much part of the submission and part of this like necessity. It's almost compulsory in nature, right? Because
Mhm.
when we get to the end of that scene and Ilya leaves, he's just like, that's when like intellectually you start thinking about what the fuck did I really just do? And you see that all over Shane's face, like, what the
Mhm.
fuck did I just do? Like it's
Mhm.
almost that, you were in a fog when all of
Mhm.
this was happening, and then you come back to yourself and you're just like, what the hell is happening? But we
Yes.
see this compulsory need to like be with Ilya to explore this over and over again. And I just think it's just this necessity that he has. It's a need. And his
Mhm.
bravery is enacted during that time. So, Nicole,
Oh, my goodness. Yes. Good scene.
what
Good
are
scene.
what are we rating this? What are you
Oh,
rating his
I
level
already
of
forgot
bravery?
about it.
Girl, she done forgot, baby.
I thought we were moving on to number 4. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
okay. Oh, my goodness. Okay. So I'm rating it. Okay. So if I'm looking at this from Shane is what, 19 at this point,
Yep.
right? 18,
Baby.
19. Baby.
Mhm.
This, I'm gonna give it an 8.5
Okay.
because I think, I mean, it is a risk and a gamble because you're at
Yeah.
an age where you're still not fully comfortable with who you are. You think maybe you are,
Mhm.
you're really not, and you're still trying to figure
Mhm.
yourself out. And like now he's finally like in the big leagues. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like he's
Yeah.
in adulthood. And this is
Mhm.
like one of the first big decisions he's made that goes against everything he's ever stood for or knew
Mhm.
or was
Mhm.
trying to portray. And so
Yeah,
I do have to there's some others on the list I'm gonna rank a little higher, obviously, because it's number 5, but
for
an
sure.
8.5 because I do think, like,
Yeah. Yeah.
what a that is big of him to do.
It it is really big, and
What are you
I
ranking it?
think I think I'm gonna give it. I was gonna give it a 7.5, but I think I'll give it an
Oh,
8, just because of the simple fact of how many mental hoops he had to do to sort of
yeah.
overcome it. And it's really the in between time waiting for Ilya in that hotel room. He could
Mhm.
have, like we said, not opened that door at all. He could have just ignored it. He could have actually gone out with his mother and removed the temptation of even opening that door, right? But no, he
Yep.
stayed there. He stayed there in that room, even with everything that he thought about. But also, again, to your point, he's 19. And your
Up.
impulsivity is crazy. Like, listen, you're going to do a lot of
Oh, it's
crazy shit when you're 18 or 19.
crazy.
Um,
There's something you just said, though, that actually I'm like, "Dang, wow, like, Shane, good job on you," because as we know, Shane can spiral or his mind can
mhm,
just take him places. He's sitting in that room alone. You see him changing
mhm.
clothes. You see him sitting down with the TV on, then turning it off, then turn the light on, the light off. Like, there's so much going on, and he still chose yes to opening that door.
Yeah. He cannot help
We
it.
love him.
There
We
there
love
is
him.
there is necessity within that.
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's move on, Nicole. What do we
All
have at the
right.
number 4 ranked spot?
Number 4. Well, we are gonna stick in the same episode 1.
Mhm.
But we're gonna go back a little bit to the moment that Shane introduces himself to Ilya at the beginning of episode 1.
In
Um,
Saskatchewan.
in Saskatchewan. I love when you say that word. I don't know why. I just like scratches an
Tickle
itch in
something in
my
the brain.
head. Yeah. Great name for a city. Great name.
It
Okay,
is.
so I said that this like represented and like Shane's bravery, him choosing um curiosity and human connection over fear and perception.
Mhm.
And one of the things I noted is that in a world where hockey is built around or it's very prevalent, like toxic masculinity and then like emotional repression and like this hyper controlled image of who he chose to forego that. Because at this point the rivalry had already been like established that these are the two biggest hockey players and they're kind of like
Yeah.
foes in
Going
a
and
way.
going 1 and 2 in the draft, and we don't know which one it is, yeah.
Exactly. And
Mhm.
so I said that the bravest part of this for me is that he instinctively chose empathy over assumption because everything that Shane's been told about Ilya, there's probably been nothing positive. It's that he's a rival,
Mhm.
he's an asshole, he's a threat, he's might be jealous of you, like he's trying to
Mm.
come for your number 1 spot, like whatever it is.
Mhm.
And I think for me that Shane recognized something that one, he looked into himself and was like, there's a fixed image that someone has of me or that a lot of people have of me. And I know that that's not right. So maybe there's a part of Ilya that this image that I have of him isn't who he is.
Yeah.
And so he risked what that could be, like coming up to Ilya and being like, "Hey, I'm Shane Hollander, like, how are you?" And then
Right,
Ilya
right.
really actually being who everyone says he is. But Shane just being like the good-natured person he is was like, rather risk that and actually get to know this man who is, like, so good at hockey, and that is, like I love that, it makes me excited, like, I want to, like, meet the person who's going to be at the top with me, like, I just wanna, like, see him in the
Yeah.
flesh,
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
than let any of that other hockey perception stuff take that moment away because he knows for himself, like, that's not real in a
Right,
sense.
right. Yeah, and it's also what has Ilya conveyed about himself on the actual ice, right? Um,
Mhm.
like, when Ilya tells him in episode 4, "I'm lazy," and Shane's like, "I don't know that side of you at all." From the very beginning, that's a
No.
side of him he saw on the ice. Like, that is not a
Mhm.
side of Ilya he knows. You know what I love about scene? I love how excited Shane is in this
He's
scene.
so giddy.
And it
Oh my
speaks to
god.
how much he was looking forward to talking to Ilya because I really do feel like he feels a sense of kinship with him. This is a
Mhm.
person who is going through the same thing that you're going through and will go through the same thing that you're going through in this draft together. Your careers will be tied inexplicably together for the rest of your life,
Mhm.
within history. Um, and
Mhm.
I think early on he did contribute that kinship or that feeling of, you know, belonging that he felt with Ilya due to hockey. But we know as audience viewers that it goes above and beyond that. And there's a gravitational pull that, I think he felt from the beginning, even watching like just clips of Ilya or like watching how Ilya plays the game, there was something there that pulled him. And so I go back to this need, this like necessity. He had to introduce himself that day. Like
Had to.
he had to. Like there's no other option. And for Shane, when he does get to that point when all reason and logic has been exhausted and there's nothing else to go back and forth on, he then really does. There's a compulsion there. Like I have to do this
Mhm.
thing to live honestly. Or like you said before, to just, fulfill that part of myself that I try to suppress. Um
Yes. Yeah.
and yeah,
I
and I think also like there probably was a bit of like a parasocial relationship he was developing with Ilya. He's like, we could
and
probably
vice
be friends.
versa.
And vice versa. Oh, absolutely vice
And vice
versa. Yeah, yeah.
versa.
Oh no, we were talking about Ilya's list.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yes, yeah, for sure. But I'm just like, this is such an
No,
interesting thing. The like level of excitement he felt during doing that, and just even like to your point when Ilya is giving him a little bit of the asshole nature, he takes it in stride and finds it entertaining to a
Oh,
degree.
yeah, and he
Like
finds it just
truly.
because, like, and we talked about this before, but, like, Hudson has talked about that scene was, like, 5 minutes longer than what we
Yeah.
saw, and that, like, he had to walk a really long way to even find Ilya, so it was very
Yeah.
intentional, and he knew, I just, like I don't know if this is gonna be a friendship, but yeah, the moment he touched down and was like,
Mhm.
"This is what I'm gonna do today." Like,
Mhm.
it's not like, it's not like in movies or TV shows where you see these 2 main characters accidentally bump into each other,
Yeah.
accidentally be at the same place, and then they're like, "Oh."
Exactly.
It's like, no, Shane that day walked into that arena knowing, "I'm gonna meet the Ilya Rozanov, and if I don't meet him
Exactly.
unless I'm gonna go introduce myself." Like,
Exactly.
I can't believe this is finally happening kinda thing.
Exactly. And they're playing against each other. Like these are competitors. It's not like they're at an all-star game where it's fun and joyful. Like you guys are actually competing for a cup and you're
Mhm.
still just like, I got to meet this man. Like I have to meet this
Mhm.
person who I think I know, I feel a kinship with, and potentially we could be really good friends. Like,
I thought what was also why it was really brave and what was really interesting is that Ilya has always been comfortable playing into this asshole, bad boy, villain role. Like, he has
mhm,
accepted it.
for
He
sure.
loves it in a way, at least on the ice, right?
Mhm.
And so I think that's why in this scene he's so caught off guard by Shane's bravery because I mean, love Ilya down, but Ilya would, at this point, not do this. And so
No.
when when Shane approaches and it's just like you said, like super giddy, like a giddy schoolboy, like
Mhm.
meeting like someone he just
Mhm.
has been thinking about for years.
Exactly.
And you could see how timid and like caught off guard that is. Cause who do you think has ever approached Ilya like that in the hockey world?
No
Like
one.
that, no
Absolutely
one.
no one. And Ilya, the wary, like to your point, the wary look that's on Ilya's face, like, what do you want?
Yeah.
And Shane is earnestly like, I just want to meet you. I don't want anything from you. So much to the point that he suffers through the awkward silence. Baby, I want to
I
hightail the fuck
know.
out of there. I don't do awkward silences.
Oh,
It's so
even
uncomfortable.
he just sits there and, like, waits and lets, and
And
even, like,
wait.
the way that he's like, "There's you're not supposed to smoke here." Like, it's like,
Exactly.
I think
Exactly.
Ilya knows that. He don't care.
He don't give a fuck. He doesn't give a fuck. But he's just like waiting through the awkward silence. Ilya's like turning his back towards Shane, like smoking a cigarette. I'm like, Ilya, you're not gonna
So
give this man nothing.
I know, so earnest and so brave of him. So with that, I wanna ask, what would
What am I
you
ranking
rank
this?
this bravery?
I'm gonna give this a 7. I'm gonna give
Okay,
this a 7.
okay.
I think a 7 because there's no romantic tension with it. There's no background. This is the first time we're meeting. There's no history that Shane has to wade through and think about and psych himself up for, gear himself up for. So I'll say this is 7 just because, you are rivals and you are competitors and there's been this narrative that's been developing about who you guys are and to your
Mhm,
point, who Ilya is. So you don't know how this is going to turn out.
mhm.
Okay, Nicole,
Okay.
what about for you? What's your ranking or rating? Sorry.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think I'm gonna say, yeah, I would say a 7 as well. And I think similar to you, there was no history to, like, make him not think he could do this.
Yeah,
Like, obviously, there's the perception of who Ilya is and their rivalry and all that stuff, but that was at such a young part of it, or like
right.
the beginning of it,
The
where there's
infancy.
just,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
not that much to go
Mhm.
off of. And I think just given the nature of who we know Shane to be, that this
Mhm.
is obviously something he would do. Of course, he'd want to introduce himself to,
I
like, the only other
know.
player that's going to give him a run for his money. Like, he's
You were
excited by
raised
that.
you
He
were
loves
raised right. You were raised right, Shane Hollander.
Yuna and David. We love you for that. We
We
love you for
love you for
that.
that. Oh, so good.
Okay, Tyra. Moving on to number 3. What's our number 3?
Whew, okay, you guys. This one is interesting. Um, so let me frame it for a second because we have Shane and
Mm,
Ilya at the cottage when David discovers them. Shane did not have the opportunity to come out to his parents. He didn't have the opportunity to actually work himself up and figure out what he wanted to say to him. But where we thought he was really especially brave was in his transparency with his parents about his sexuality, about his relationship with Ilya. So it's that scene where they're sitting at the dinner table and we are just going through Shane's history. And my goodness, before I even get into it, could never be me. Could never be me. If I'm coming out to my parents, you're getting that I'm coming out to you and that's it. We are not walking through the sexual history of me and
um,
any of my partners. It ain't ever happening. And sitting at a table with them across from me, absolutely not. Would never.
whew. No, Shane is so brave in this scene. Like,
Shane is so
so brave.
he's very brave. And the scene is
Whew.
interesting for that reason alone because it really does highlight that Shane feels a strong sense of duty and responsibility, right, to the people in his life.
Mhm,
And the people who he loves and who love him. And he goes above and beyond what is actually owed transparently, to be honest, I
oh,
feel.
yeah.
Um, the bravery and the willingness, like I said, to like sit across from your parents and dissect the private relationship that you have with Ilya right there, to the point where like Ilya is talking about we're lovers and the parents are like, oh, they're lovers and alluding to sex.
What?
Lovers. Okay, no one is allowed to use that word again.
Could never do this. It's just
No,
actually insane.
no.
But I do go back to the theme of like my through line of like Shane's bravery stemming from necessity and from this feeling that it was owed to his parents after years of
Mm,
dishonesty to walk through the ins and out of relationship with Ilya.
mhm,
But
mhm,
Shane does that because the beauty of his character truly is to be vulnerable and to let people into his life who really matter even through discomfort and anxiety, even to the point where, you know, he
Mm.
is going through the entire relationship with Ilya. He's going about the changes if he potentially comes out to the point where he gives himself an anxiety attack. And
Yeah.
he never like stops before he gets to that point because he feels like he owes it to them to tell them.
Mhm. Mhm.
Which I think just says so much about who Shane is as a character. And the bravery to be that transparent and to own, you know,
Yeah.
the dishonesty that you've had with your parents for 10 years, is incredibly brave and
Mhm.
just so beautiful that he just feels really truly beholden to the people in his life that he loves. He feels responsible to them. And I'm like, look at that. That is a
Yeah.
true adult and like true maturity.
Yeah. I agree. And I will say one, and I think the conversation of them eating burgers established this, that like Shane can be this brave because he's privileged enough to have parents that he knows will accept and love him for
Mhm.
anything, right? Like,
Yeah.
it wasn't the fact of him being gay that was the issue. It was like, Ilya.
Yeah.
Like, you're
Yeah.
actually the thing, and it's like,
Yeah.
so it's like he's able to be a lot more brave than maybe a lot of people could be in this situation.
Mhm.
Um but what I will say is very similar to you. I wrote down that one of the reason why this is so brave is 'cause it's the first time he's choosing not to compartmentalize his life with his parents.
Mhm.
Um, his parents have always just known the almost the same Shane that we would have known if we lived in this universe.
Yeah.
And there's this deep, intimate part of him that he just never let be present in the relationship that he had with his parents. And so allowing his
Mhm.
parents to finally see who he is like one of the bravest things you can do. Cause I can tell you right now, and if my parents ever watch this, I mean, my parents won't, but I
If
mean, I
your
don't know,
parents
they
don't
might,
watch this,
but if they did, my
you
parents
tell
would
them.
like be shocked this podcast exists. They don't even know that I'm doing this. You know what I mean? Like there's just like, so I'm just like, I find being 100% transparent with your parents to be so brave in a lot of aspects.
Mhm.
And to, it was something else you said, and I want to go back from the dinner scene or the table scene to when he first enters, or when they're standing or
Yeah.
whatever. It's like he's not minimizing or hesitating or softening the reality of what his relationship is with Ilya. Because again, there's one thing to say like I'm gay, and you see later his parents are like, "Well, we kind of thought you were gay."
Yeah.
The shocking thing is you're with Rozanov or whatever, and it's like he never minimized what Ilya meant to him. And I think people have said this a lot that like he always wanted his parents to know that he was in love with Ilya. Like that is like a big part of who he is, but obviously like one of the scariest things that he could say because yeah, like
Mhm.
Una said, like I thought you hated him. And I thought one of the bravest things he said in this whole scene was, no, I get that, but no, I love him because Shane did not have to go there. He did not have to tell his parents. They just found out they loved each other like 24 hours ago, if that.
Mhm.
And so him just choosing to fully be like, all right, I'm not going to sugarcoat this. I'm not going to like circle around the issue or just give certain pieces of information. He was just like fully who Shane was in that moment. Um,
Mhm.
and
Because
yeah, I
yeah.
just, no, and I was just, the last thing I was going to say is
Mhm.
like, this was one of the brave moments for me where you could tell that like, this was hard for him because when he's standing there in like their like where the door, the entryway, his hands are like in his pocket, and you could tell he's kind of like a little nervous and nerve wracking and
Mhm.
swallowing hard and struggling to make eye contact. And so it's like you're seeing in real time him just
Mhm.
working through this and like that
Yes.
bravery really coming
Yeah.
coming in.
Well, it really does show the line between suppression and repression. So,
Mm.
at a certain point in
Hmm.
time, he can say that all of these things are unconsciously done. But when you actively know what you're doing and you're repressing that, then that's where the dishonesty really comes in. And I think Shane is an honest character. He's an honest person. Like his mother says in episode 4 of The Tuner's Mouth, I don't want you to
Yeah,
lie. That's not who you are. And it's not who he
I
is.
know.
So he's been out of character for 10 years. And
Whew.
I think
Yep.
being able to be honest in that moment, even though it was uncomfortable, was a relief in the end.
Hmm.
So you know, that's all like the need, like, he tells them that he loves Ilya, like, I have to tell that. That is a truce.
Yes.
And I'm not lying to them anymore, right? Like,
Yeah.
you have to when you tell it, you kinda have to tell it all. And to Nicole's point, being transparent with your parents is not easy. Like, I've had, like, battles with my own mother to, like, get
Girl.
to this point of transparency that we have now, and it's not an easy road, but it is a rewarding one. Um
Mhm.
Especially when you get to a certain age and you're both 2 adults trying to have adult conversation, but there's still that parent-child dynamic. But
Yes.
it is a rewarding thing, and I think at the end of it, you see the release of, like, Shane driving home off in the sunset. It's not just getting to be in love with Ilya, that's getting to be open and honest with the people who you love and having that weight lifted off, which is
Mhm.
incredibly beautiful and incredibly necessary.
So lovely, and I just love
Yeah.
this scene so much. It was very well done, and just, like, I don't know, yeah, at the end, I just felt really, like, proud of Shane. Like, it was just like,
Yeah.
"Oh,
Absolutely,
he did
absolutely.
it."
You did it.
Um,
Yeah. So Nicole,
okay,
what do you rate
yeah.
this? What do you rate this on the
Oh, I
bravery
mean,
level?
10 for me, hands down,
10.
don't even have to think about it.
That's a
For
10.
a lot of the reasons that we named, but for me, something else I had noted that I didn't mention that rings true to me, but I also I know to Shane and what you were just talking about getting to this level of relationship with your parents is that Shane is someone who worries about disappointing people in general.
Mhm.
He doesn't wanna disappoint people, he doesn't want to make people he wants people to feel comfortable around him and safe around him.
Yeah.
Um, and I think him coming out in this way and just being so brave in this moment, he risked that, right? He risked how he would be perceived or, like, disappointing his parents in the fact that, "I've not been truthful to you my entire adulthood," because, yeah,
Yeah.
me and Ilya didn't just start last year, we started almost 10 years ago, and I'm just
Yeah.
telling you now, and I didn't even, like, actually tell you, you caught me, and now I'm having to really tell you in this sense, and it's like, and which is, like, not a great situation, obviously, for Shane, like, he should've had the opportunity to say and do what he wanted to say to his parents on his own time, but here we are. And I just thought, like, given the circumstances, I would rate this a 20 if I could. I mean, this is a made up scale, but it was incredibly brave for him to and you know what else was brave in that moment? And this was obviously the scene with he and his mom. But I just thought when she basically asked for you to forgive me instead of maybe retreating to the old Shane that's like, "You have nothing to I have nothing to forgive you for, like, you did nothing wrong," or like, "Everything's fine." He just simply answered like, "I forgive
I
you,
forgive
mom."
you. You know that's one of my favorite parts.
Oh,
I
no,
love that.
literally, I can't. I can't.
I love that he says I forgive you and it wasn't a cliche thing of like you don't need, you don't have to ask for
Yeah,
forgiveness. No.
exactly,
You
exactly.
know,
No, but she did.
you do have to ask for forgiveness.
Mhm,
Yeah, this is definitely a 10, and it's just I just Shane being who he is, being someone who throughout the
mm,
season we've seen his vulnerability, his earnestness, his openness. And to think about him having to suppress that to the two most important like people in his life outside of
ugh,
Ilya,
yeah.
I can imagine the sickness it made him feel to go day in and day out. And honestly, it
Woo.
really is a relief. When I, like, got to be able to be truthful and honest with my mother about things, it was a release, and it felt like we were in a better place. We are open
Mm,
and honest with each other, and I can just imagine that being the same case for Shane and his mother. Their relationship before this truth and after it is night and
oh,
day.
night and day.
So much stronger,
Night and day.
so much better. Nicole, let's move right along. What do we have as the number 2 ring spot?
All right. Number 2, this might be number 1 on a lot of people's list, but what we have, we're actually gonna say in episode 6. Oh no, actually we're gonna go to episode 5.
Episode 5.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Sorry. And we have Shane inviting Ilya to the cottage in episode 5.
Will you come to my cottage this summer? Don't go to Russia.
And I think, Tyra, when we were putting together this list, at first we were like, that has to be number one. And I think it could be on a given
Mhm.
day. It really could be.
Yeah.
But I think particularly there was a lot happening within this invite.
Yeah.
One, I said the bravest part was Shane has absolutely no guarantee how this experience is going to go. There's one thing
Mhm.
to invite Ilya to the cottage because I want more than just a fleeting moment with this man that I'm in love with. But
Mhm.
they've only had fleeting moments up until this point.
Mhm.
And there's something
Mhm.
different than like, let's live together for 1 or 2 weeks, only each other. There's no reprieve from that,
Yeah.
and not knowing how that's going to go. And so, I put like, yeah, what if they realize it doesn't work outside of secrecy, or that Ilya doesn't truly understand the seriousness? Because as we know as an audience, Ilya is like dying to go. And like, once he goes, it's like he's choosing Shane for life. But like, that's not what Shane thinks. And then, what if the fantasy collapses a little bit? Or, yeah, Ilya doesn't like who Shane really is day to day. I mean, these are things
Yeah.
that at least
Yeah.
I'm thinking Shane's thinking. And so
Mhm.
he's risking the relationship they currently have. I said, he's risking what they've built over the last, 8, 9 years at this point, and then could risk the possibility of a future together. And so offering to bring him into the most intimate space in his life is like incredibly brave, because there's a huge question mark that comes with that if Ilya says yes. And then also it's like once you invite someone into a space that personal and that intimate, there's just no going back, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
And
That's
that's part
true.
of, like, the terrified line that Ilya gives. It's
Yeah.
like, "Good or bad, this is terrifying because I'm going to get to know the real Shane Hollander, and Shane is going to offer himself
Mhm.
in that way to
Mhm.
Ilya." And so
Yeah.
it just exists outside of the norms of what Shane and Ilya are at that point, like, outside of hockey culture, outside of the hotels,
Mhm. That's
outside of
true. That's
the
true.
rivalry.
Yeah. Yeah,
So yeah.
it's a different space, and to your point, you don't know how this could go, but Shane is a very back against the wall character. When he is pushed against the wall into the brink, he's definitely going to fight back. And I think what's really interesting about this is that, he can't go back to pre-Tunagate. Like, he can't go back to the way
No.
that things were. So it's either like we kind of have to do this, we have to see what this can be, or this is just going to end. And I think that's what we see, like that again, that necessity that I was talking about of him just being like, no, I need to see how this will go. Like I need to, and also like I need to a degree, I need to like be the person who I was before I met Ilya, who was someone who was open and honest about things
Mm,
and not keeping secrets and hiding. Um
mhm,
and
mhm.
I'm just going to be open and honest because, like I was just talking about, like hiding has become exhausting to this point. You can no longer do it. And also, like in the words of like Scott Hunter, I'm going to ask for what I want. And that's what Shane is like doing. I'm
Period.
going to ask for what I want. And I love to see Shane
Yes.
choosing himself in that way to say, you know what? I do want this person. I do love this
Mhm,
person. I've thought
mhm.
about what would make me feel good in terms of being with him, and him inviting him to like my secret place, my favorite place on earth is what would
Favorite.
make me feel good, what would make sense, and also me being honest about where we are from my viewpoint in this relationship.
Yes.
And I love this. I'm like, honest
It's
Shane
so
is the best
good.
Shane. And he gets so
So good.
I'm gonna get off my high horse, but he gets maligned in the long game for just being honest. And I don't
Mm.
like it. He's
Well,
really
I
just
I
being
don't know what
honest.
the long game is. I don't know what that is.
Don't know
So,
what that book is. She's never heard of it.
never read it. Don't have 2 copies at my house. No. Um
And waiting for another one probably. Like
Oh, if we ever get those, actor book cover tie-ins, I'm buying every copy. So, there's that.
buying it. Mhm.
I don't care. But yeah, to your point, you said something, and I was like, yes. When you said like Shane was getting tired of like the dishonesty and stuff, like there's that in the world, but then yeah, like he was tired of lying to himself about Ilya in a sense. Like it's like
Mhm.
I need to invite him here because anytime we're in the familiar places, we end up masking or, we don't have enough time to even talk through what we mean to each other and all these things, which is why in the cottage, one of the first things it says is like, we need to be honest with each other, Ilya. Like, let's just try as hard as we can over the next 2 weeks. And so,
Exactly.
yeah, it's like, what is this time if not to really try to explore what our true feelings are? We finally have the chance to do that. And
Mhm.
something I said, yeah, I said that Shane, the cottage represents possibility, but then for them to almost see if their relationship is able to survive the stillness. That's the one thing
Mhm.
about the cottage. Everything is just very still and intimate and like very with no like distractions.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, yeah.
it's just crazy to think they've never ever had that. And so it's also just
In
like
10
him
years.
in 10 years. And so it's kind of like we knew, and obviously it was seamless almost, at least
Mhm.
from the
Mhm.
cottage episode in the book. And so then the question becomes even more terrifying for them, which is like, well, now what? Like
Now what?
we see what this can be, and now we feel how this could like feel if we were to be a real couple in relationship. And this is even more terrifying than us masking our feelings. And
Yeah.
I think there was just a huge risk for Shane to know that like this could be really good, and
Yeah.
then them
Yeah.
having to figure out what that could mean and, like, inviting
What
him, yeah, into, like, the most intimate space that you could invite someone, and we talked about this previously, but, like, I don't think he's invited really anyone. I don't think Hayden's seen it.
Hayden has never been there and has been clamoring to go. You know he
I
has.
know.
He's
He
been
also
drawing
has seen
it.
that documentary 5,000,000 times,
He
and it's like,
has.
"So,
He's
when's he
like,
gonna"
well, you don't have to come to me and Jackie's house. We could always come up
We
to
can
the
always go to the
cottage.
cottage. Wait, Tyra, do you know what this reminds me of?
What's that?
So me and Tyra are big tennis fans, or like we're big Rafael Nadal fans, and it reminds me of Nadal's boat and being invited to
Yeah.
his boat.
Girl, no, that boat had a revolving door. Like
But
force
when you
people
were
to
invited,
the.
it was
But when you
like,
were
oh,
invited,
he
it was
fucks
a
with
big
you. He
deal.
fucks
Oh
with
yeah,
you.
he did
Yeah,
exactly. So
yeah, yeah.
Hayden, maybe he just doesn't fuck with you.
Maybe he's just an Ilya stan, babe.
He's just an
Sorry.
Ilya stan.
Okay, so Tyra, what are you rating Shane inviting Ilya to the cottage?
Whew. I mean, this has got to be a 10. This got to be a 10.
Ooh.
Like, I mean, yeah, Shane inviting Ilya to his favorite place in the world. First of all, he picked the man up from the airport. Like, he picked the man up from the
Brave.
airport. They were
Brave.
brave. They were riding in the same car. I'm just like, I know there's paparazzi shots of Ilya at the Ottawa airport. Like,
All
men.
that.
Because I'm like, did you think
Listen,
this through? Um,
should have
so
rented a car.
you should have rented a car. You should listen. You should have done a number of things. Ilya would have just had to take an Uber to like maybe the closest gas station or something. And I'll pick you up from there. I'm thinking through this. We're not getting caught on my watch. But yeah, no, this has to be a 10 because Shane like finally wanting to be open and honest with Ilya to the point where he's just like, I'm not telling another fucking lie and pretending that I don't want this man. Like I
Mhm.
want him. I want him in my space for 2
My
weeks and
space.
longer. Yeah,
Mhm.
that's a 10.
Yeah,
Anytime you invite a boo thing over, it's a 10.
yeah, I agree
Okay.
that it's a 10. And I go back to Baby Shane in episode 2, where he barely
Mm.
wanted Ilya to come over, or I guess episode 1 at the All-Star game, where he barely wanted Ilya to come over to his apartment for a hookup. And he saw the panic attack he had and just like how his nerves took over. And he was like, what do you mean you're going to come over? And Ilya's like, are you homeless? And it's like, you cut from that to like the more grown up Shane who is like, I'm inviting you to a space that I built. So everything in this house is an
Mhm.
extension of me. And I want you to experience that the way that I experience that. Um,
Mm.
and
That's
so
beautiful.
I just felt like he was super brave in extending the invite because again, Ilya at the point when he extends it is like, this is never going to happen for us. It's not in the
Mhm.
cards for us.
Mhm.
This is an impossibility. As badly as I want to go, I I know I can't, but I'm not going to tell
Yeah.
this man that. So I do like the maybe thing. But it's like Shane doing this at a time where they were in such an in-between part of their kind of relationship and, like, not fully knowing, yeah, if it's gonna be accepted.
Mhm.
It was incredibly brave because I don't know at that point if there's anything else he could have asked Ilya to do that
Exactly.
would trump that.
Right. And you can kind of see the steps because I think this is when he gets injured, it's 2 weeks after Tampa, right? And so
Yeah,
he's had those 2 weeks to gear himself up to think about that because he planned to X him after the game.
yep.
So, I mean, he's gone back and forth with it in his mind. He's,
Mhm.
intellectualized it. What does this mean? What is this going to mean for him? What is this going to mean for me? He's gone back and forth and he's come up with the same answer each and every time, which is I'm going to choose myself. I'm going to choose Ilya and I'm going to choose these feelings that we have for each other. And I love
Ugh,
that. I love that for both of them, and for me too.
Shayna!
The man you
And for
are,
me.
Shane
Li
Hollander.
just making moves. Okay, we love him, and speaking of, we gotta get to our number 1.
We gotta get to our
And I
top
think I
spot.
think people are gonna I don't know, people if I were watching this, maybe I'd be like, "If the cottage is number 1, what is number 1?" So, what's number 1,
Listen,
Tyrone?
the number 1 is a simple little sentence that Shane utters. "I can't pretend I don't like you anymore."
I don't think I can keep pretending I don't like you anymore.
You don't like me.
Okay? And you know what Shane did? Shane
Period.
did a lot there because Shane was making a choice, right? We are
Mhm.
well past the point of suppression, right? Because he's been aware for some time of his feelings for Ilya. And he's been doing everything post tuna meltdown, including dating a woman, in order to repress the feelings, right, that
Including.
he has for Illy. And once again, we see the through line of this need, this necessity, this compulsion. Like, I kind of have to do this thing. And it's a part of it is just like I have to go back to my core of like being open and honest.
Mhm.
Um, and Shane really having to put his fear aside and you just that's someone who just really wants to live in their honesty at this point.
Yes. Yes.
And it takes me back again, I talked about him being with his parents in the scene and his mother saying, "I don't want you to lie. That's not who you are." And the thing is that that's not who he is, but that's who he's had to become in this relationship with Ilya. Right? To
Mm.
maintain any semblance of a relationship with Ilya, because if you are
Yeah.
not dishonest, like, what does that look like, right? If you tell your parents, if you tell anyone about this, what is their response?
Mhm.
And then
Mhm.
when you have other people's outside opinions, like we see Kip had some outside opinions in episode 3. We'll talk about that. When you get other
Ooh.
people's outside opinions, that can disrupt what you have going on with someone. And so
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not, listen, I like to live in reality at some points. I understand why they are hiding. I don't understand why they
Mhm.
hid for 10 years, but I get it. I understand that. I understand why you have to hide while you have this attraction to someone, you have these feelings for someone, you want to keep it, you want to protect it the best way you know how. Um,
Mhm.
and that it has to be kept under wraps. But
Mhm.
there there does become a moment when you don't have any outside influence and you are just sitting with your own thoughts and you're thinking about what do I want out of this life? Who do I want to be? And for him to like reassess and go back after he's finally admitted to his sexuality, he's not repressing any longer. He's just like, I just want to be open and honest now. And within that conversation, there's a lot happening within that conversation in episode 5, and we've talked about it a lot. But him just being able to say those words to him that I
Yeah.
can't pretend I don't like you anymore.
Mhm.
I can't repress this feeling any longer, or I feel like I might die. As he says,
Yeah.
I was about to say as he says in episode 6, but it's book canon. Like, does it feel like agony to
Yeah.
you? It's
Yeah, yeah,
agony.
yeah, yeah.
It's agony.
Yeah, I
Ugh,
I agree. I that line is so underrated and I don't think talked about enough because
it is.
what he's doing in that line is not only being to what you're saying emotionally truthful to himself, he's pushing their relationship and pushing Ilya to acknowledge like you
Mhm.
feel the same way too. And we can
Yeah.
keep doing this song and dance because when Ilya gave him whatever the room number it is down at the beach,
Mhm.
and you could tell even in the room, they first have the shot of Ilya on his phone. He looks nervous. Like, I don't know what Shane is going to want or do when he comes to my room.
Mhm.
But the thing is, like, before he says that line, he's been pushing. He's been trying to get Ilya to, like, be emotionally truthful and, like, understand the weight of, like, why I walked out of your house and what Tuna Gate was and, like, where we are now. And Ilya was able to be like, "Oh, it's simple. Like, we just get together and we fuck. Like, it's simple for me." And just like, why does it matter if you're gay? And, like, really trying not to, like, touch the emotional weight of where they are as Shane
Yeah.
and Ilya at that point. And so when he says this line, it is so, um, line in the sand. You can't interpret this any other way than he
Mhm.
can't pretend he doesn't like you anymore. And what does Ilya immediately say? "You don't
You
like
don't
me."
like me.
And because
The
there's nothing
story
else
of their
in it.
relationship. Story of their relationship, like
And
their
it's like,
communication.
and that's all Ilya can say because he's just like, "Okay, well, I have to acknowledge that this man is, like, trying to, like, break me down and, like, really get us to have the real conversation we should have had in, like, 2014 or whatever it was." And so I just think I wrote down this is, like, the most emotionally brave thing Shane does in the
Mhm.
scene, but in the entire series because he isn't he's tired of hiding behind, like, the ambiguity and, like, the hookups and the jokes and, like, the emotional denial of, like, who they are because even in episode 4 when Ilya is like, "I like you," Ilya couldn't be serious for 3 seconds about it. He's just like, "Well, you have a good mouth." And it's like,
Mhm.
he
Mhm.
can't even really get to the weight of that. And so Shane coming into an unknown space, it's not his hotel room. He is coming in there, he's sitting down, you can already tell he's nervous, and he's just like, "This is my one chance." As he told Rose, "I have stuff to sort out with someone to really get to the emotional truth of where we are because I want us to move forward and I also
Yeah.
still have feelings for this man, but also like we've never done this. We've
Yes.
always done the song and dance. We've never had this
Exactly.
conversation."
And the bravery comes in 2 parts. It comes him admitting that to Ilya, but also he doesn't know what Ilya's response will be.
Yep.
'Cause Ilya
No.
very much could be like, "You know what? This is over." Because a through line in Heated
Mhm.
Rivalry is Ilya up until the very last second always being like, "I have to end this. This is going to be over." Um,
Mhm. Mhm.
and Shane doesn't know how this is going to end. He just knows that he can't pretend anymore. And I
Mhm.
love that. And that to me is just like Shane really, like I said, back against the wall. He's like, I gotta fight my way out of this. And really I have to fight for Ilya. I have to fight for us the
Yes.
best way I know how.
And I think what you just said, the line, I think the word that got me about this, and I'm sure you or others, is pretend. And
Pretend. Yeah.
how, you know, Rose, the scene with Rose at the beginning of the episode, pushed him into that. It's like he no longer he this is the first time that conversation with Rose where he was like not having to pretend to be anyone
Yeah.
but who Shane was.
Yeah.
And I just think you see that through that entire episode, but particularly that scene where he's just like, I've spent my whole life pretending. I'm done pretending." And in this particular situation, like, it is obviously up to the both of us to obviously agree that we both want to stop pretending and like actually
Mm-hmm.
consider the emotional weight of who we are as a couple or together. But
Yeah.
even if Ilya doesn't, Shane can walk out of that room and know that he did all
He
he could
he
do,
did
and
everything. Yeah.
he was the bravest version of himself the
Mm-hmm.
moment he knocked on that
Mm-hmm.
door.
Yes.
I
He
just
chose himself.
oh,
He chose himself in that moment.
chose
He chose himself
himself.
and he chose what he wanted and the commitment to the farce had ended, which I love.
Mhm.
It's nothing more freeing than that moment when you are just like, I'm not going to pretend or pander or, you know, fall into
Yeah,
a
no more
narrative of
hookups.
something. Yeah, fall into a narrative of something that we're pretending it to be. I cannot do it anymore. And
Can't
I
do
love
it.
that, no matter what the outcome is. Like, as much
Mhm.
as I love and
Exactly.
want you, no matter as much as I love and want you, I still have to choose me at the end of the day and choose my wants and needs, and that's what
I
Shane
do.
does. And I think, like, fandom, do y'all hate him because he has boundaries and he chooses his wants and needs.
I don't. I mean,
Is that
listen, if you're watching
no,
this
no,
video,
I'm not talking to you. You know
oh,
what
I
I'm saying.
know, but I'm just saying, if you are watching us and you hate Shane Hollander, you might as well just peace out, because that man
We
does
love that
not
man.
get enough credit
He
for
does.
just one, like how much he's pushed Shane and Ilya to what we see at the end of episode 6. I mean, he's the
Yes.
one who started it all in episode 1, but
Yep.
also doesn't get enough grace and respect and patience for who he is as a person who has an too much pressure on him, and
Mhm.
he's just trying to figure himself out. And sometimes
Mhm.
that's messy, and sometimes that is not this perfect version of who the world thinks Shane is, but it
Yeah.
is always with good intent and always with a kind heart. And
Always.
he
Always.
just
He's
loves Ilya
someone
so bad that he's like, I need to get to the root of this for me, but
exactly.
for us too.
Exactly, exactly, and he's just someone who tries, like, who
He just
constantly is
tries.
trying to be better and to do better, and to just show up for the people that he loves. Okay, I'm gonna get off the Shane Hollander soapbox, but my goodness. Nicole, let me
This is
stop
a
talking.
Shane
What are
episode. If there's ever a time to be on a
you
Shane Hollander soapbox, it's now.
fair. Let me continue. Girl, you goddamn right. Let me continue. Shoot.
I'm
But
just
to
saying.
keep this under time, Nicole, what do you rate this scene on a scale of 1 to a bajillion?
I mean,
It's a
but
bajillion.
it's a
Bajillion.
bajillion
It's a
because
bajillion. Yeah.
it's a bajillion because he's risking his happiness.
Yes.
He's risking his happiness and being comfortable for being
Mhm.
truthful.
Yes.
And that is what that line and that scene in general represents. He knows he could easily get Ilya back. All he has to do is go back into that room, they
Mhm.
make out, they have sex, and then they just do the
Mhm. And
hotel
they
thing over and
complete
over
the
again.
cycle over and over again. Yep.
But he said, no more of that.
Yep.
I would rather be truthful and really push Ilya to have this uncomfortable conversation we need to have and me figuring out what this means than
Mhm.
fall back into a situation that is so uncomfortable that I left your house a few months ago. That
Mhm.
made me have a panic attack, that made me
Exactly.
second guess who I am. And I just, this moment, ugh. I mean, the hotel scene
Mhm.
in general, but that line when he said it, I remember the first time I heard him say it, and I was like, exactly.
Exactly. And
Let's
the
stop pretending that this is
yes.
like not what it is.
And the acting, because you can read everything on Hudson's face, like there's trepidation there.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
because again, he does not know how this is going to turn out with Ilya, what Ilya's response is going to be. But that still doesn't
Yeah.
stop him or deter him. He is going to follow through. One thing Shane Hollander is going to do is follow through on something
Follow through.
and be a person of his word. Um,
Yep.
so this is a bajillion. Clearly. I
A
don't know what
bajillion.
anyone thought it would be otherwise.
And that is why it's our number one. And
That
we
is why it's
can't wait
our
to hear what you all
number
think.
1. So Nicole, with that, what's your honorable mention?
Yeah, we're back to honorable mentions after 2 weeks being
Are you
away.
guys excited? A 2-week honorable mention hiatus.
Yeah, here we are with the longer episode. Sorry. Okay,
Y'all, they love it. They love it.
my honorable mention is the 15 or forever plan that Shane gives to Ilya during the I love you scene in episode 6 of the cottage. But particularly the line that to me was the bravest
Yeah.
was
Maybe one day when we both retire, we could be together. For real.
and maybe one day when we both retire, we can be together for real.
Mhm.
And you can even see the
Mhm.
weight that had on Ilya. Like he had to
Yeah.
pause and be like, you think that far ahead, and like, is that what you want to be together? And I just found that line to be so brave because one, it's almost like a sequel to our number one, where it's like, I can't pretend I don't like you anymore, because it's like, I'm rooting us in reality. You had Ilya in the last scene saying, like,
Mhm.
I could marry Svetlana, right?
Mhm.
And it's like all Ilya can see is like a life where they're still continuing to live in secrecy and love in secrecy.
Yeah.
And there's no version of them that could exist in the real world. And
Right.
so this line to me was Shane fully being like, I don't know how we're going to get there, but I know that there's a version of us who can live outside of this fantasy or outside of being hidden. And the only thing I can think of right now is, like, when we retire, we're no longer this rival and we're no longer Rozanov and Hollander. We can be
Mhm.
together for real and absolutely. And I just thought it was a brave line because he's not just admitting his like feelings, he's really giving them a tangible end game in a
Yeah.
way that like
Yeah.
hasn't been said before.
This is like sealing forever, right?
Yeah.
Like, and
Mhm.
to Ilya's credit, you think that far ahead because forever is a very long time.
Oh,
And to
yeah.
say that, like, I am going to be your person for the rest of our lives, that's that's a
Mhm.
lot. That's a
It
lot. But Shane
is.
is sure. Shane can be more sure about anything in his life. And
Mhm.
the fact that he's willing to say that now when he only got to the cottage. Like,
Only got to the cottage.
that to me is the brave part. Like, he's not fearful of, like, this being too much. In the same way that Ilya is the opposite of that. He's very fearful of being too much in that way. But Shane is
Mhm.
just like, "No, I'm gonna say what I want. This is what I want. I want a future with you. I want us to be together for real in
Exactly.
a really real way." Um, and that takes so much bravery to
And
not
it's
just
and it's all
yeah.
before they say I love you too. Like
It's
he's
all
like,
before the "I love you,"
mhm.
which is insane to me. Um, because again, you don't know what Ilya's reaction will be,
Mm-mm.
but he's just like, "I just know what I want, and I just
Yeah.
know what I'm feeling, and I can only give you myself,
Mhm.
open heart. That's all I can do, and you can
Mhm.
take it or you can leave it, but you can't take parts of it. You have to have
No.
100% this, me." um, and everything I entail. And I love that. It's so
It's so
beautiful.
good. It's so good, and it's
It's
such a great response to Ilya's, like, "I never want that problem to ever go away," kind of
yeah,
thing, where it's like,
yeah.
"Well, if you don't want me to go away, I'm gonna create, like, the biggest plan so that we're
Mhm,
always in each other's life, but for real." Like, not, like,
mhm.
doing what we're doing now,
Not
sneaking
a
off to the
pretend.
cottage, and
Exactly.
no, like, "I want to be with you for real, and this
Mhm.
is what I
A
propose," and
real relationship.
yeah, and I
They've
just
never
thought you
met.
could tell how that, like, took Ilya's breath away in a way, and also mine because it's like,
Mhm,
wow, like, this was maybe 3 hours after we just had this conversation, if that, and, like,
mhm,
you've come up with this plan that, like, of course I'm not refusing, like, could never refuse, and, like,
mhm,
he says it so matter of fact too, just like,
mhm,
"And
mhm.
then we can just, like,
Yeah,
be together for real," and it's like,
yeah. And it
oh,
was and what
Shane.
really once again, necessity. What really contributed to Ilya coming up with that plan was I mean, Shane coming up with that plan was Ilya needling him those couple days leading up. I could marry
Yeah.
Svetlana. I could play in Canada. It's all of these
Mhm.
scenarios where we may not necessarily be end game, right? Or we may
Yeah.
not be the end game that I want us to be. And Shane is just like, oh hell no, I gotta do something about this. I can't
Yeah,
let
yeah,
this
yeah.
stand. Like I gotta tell this
No.
man that I gotta tell him plainly, like, I want you forever the same way that you want me, and I'm gonna figure out a way to make that happen.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
and what a man.
I mean, and what bravery because again,
Mhm,
not only is it like you don't know how Ilya is gonna react, what you're proposing is, I mean, on paper impossible.
mhm,
It's
mhm.
just
It is impossible.
so it is it's such a dream and just, like, also just, like, so much that has to go right in it, and he's like, "You're worth the risk of this, though, and our love
Mhm,
is worth the risk of this, and, like, I will be brave for the next 10 years while we're hockey
yeah,
players or whatever it is to get us to the end game that we both want," and I just think Shane putting this plan in place is putting also the image of who he is publicly on the line as well
it
and who
is,
people know
yeah,
him to be just because he loves not just but because he loves this man so much and I just find that to be incredibly brave.
yeah,
Mm.
I agree. So good.
Okay,
Okay,
well,
so my
Tyra, what
honorable
is yours?
my honorable mention, Nicole, so to your point, you mentioned yours was a sequel. I think mine is a bit of a prequel.
Ooh.
to episode 1. I mean, to our number 1 ranked spot.
Okay.
But mine is Shane coming out to Rose. And
Mhm.
literally in this moment is Shane actively no longer choosing to repress his sexuality.
Mhm. Mhm.
Shane no
Mhm.
longer pretending he didn't like Elle anymore. Like,
Mhm.
he is actually saying the words to Rose, like, saying these
Mhm.
things that he had been repressing for years. Um,
Yeah.
and it's just him having to like, when you're watching that scene, this is him having to overcome all of those thoughts and emotions in real time. Like, he has to
Yes.
overcome all of those mental hurdles in a
Yes.
matter of, like, minutes while he's talking to her. He has to make it a
Mhm.
choice. Has to make a choice that, like, yeah, I'm no longer gonna repress my sexuality. I am gay. I'm no longer gonna say I don't want this other person, and I'm also going to tell someone who I just 5 seconds ago was in a relationship with. Like, insane
It's
bravery,
insane.
insane
It's
levels of
insane bravery.
bravery, and that's a lot for anyone to process, but someone like Shane, who is under the weight of the pressure of who he is and what he represents to his
Yeah.
family, to the league, just as a public figure, and, you know, what does it mean to be a gay hockey player in 2014, where
No, yeah,
we 20
2017.
2017, sorry, in 2017, when at that point no one had come out, not even Scott Hunter. So, how
Mhm.
do you navigate all of that? And how are you able in real time to like overcome all of those mental obstacles, overcome the emotional weight of that in the midst of having a broken heart because you're no longer with Ilya, and
Right?
being able to be open and honest with Rose in that moment about
Yes.
something that you have held so deep within yourself for so long.
Mhm.
My God, like, people who go to
Yes.
therapy for 10 years can't do this.
No.
Okay? Um,
I I
yeah.
agree. There was something you said earlier, that I wrote down about that he's having to pretty much come to terms with all this in real time is that
Mhm.
that is so unlike Shane. Because something
Yeah.
I noted was that unlike other moments in the series where Shane's vulnerability is kind of pre-calculated or planned, like you have the 15-year plan, you have the hotel scene where he's kind of thought about what he may want to say to Ilya, you have him inviting Ilya to the cottage. Like these aren't spur of the moment things; these are things that he's thought about, and it's like I'm going to execute on it. This scene felt more like self-discovery happening in real time. And I thought
Mhm.
Hudson played this so well because instead of it verbally happening, you just see him almost getting emotional and just nodding his head very slowly because he's also coming to the realization that, like, yes, like
Mhm.
I'm thinking about Ilya and I'm thinking about being with this man and like how different it feels and maybe how it feels to be with Rose and just in general how different it feels to be with Ilya, the
Yeah.
person.
Yeah.
And you see him flashback into these moments and like it was just brave because again, Shane could have masked and lied the way that he's done a lot in his life with Rose. He did not
Mhm.
owe her to come out in that way, even though
He
she's
didn't.
asking these questions.
Mhm.
But he just felt like this is my moment. This
Mhm.
is the time where I
Mhm.
can finally be truthful
Yeah.
and not have to suffer through a relationship or, feeling
Mhm.
just because that is what the
Yeah.
old Shane Hollander
Would have
would
done.
have maybe done.
Yeah. It's a perfect
Um,
collision between him wanting to be honest, but him also feeling a duty to her because he
yeah,
tells
yeah,
her, she says to him, "You don't owe me anything." And he's like, "I feel like I kind of do." And he
yes,
does feel
yes,
like that, like we go back to our number 3 ranking in his parents, he feels a duty to the people that he loves.
yeah,
He feels a
yeah,
responsibility to them, and that's not a bad
yes,
thing.
yes,
Um but yeah, it's that collision of like, I wanna be open and honest. I don't wanna repress this anymore. I don't wanna hide it anymore. It's exhausting, and also
mhm,
I kind of owe it to her after including her into this like
in my life, yeah,
storm, yeah, into this storm that I am within the midst of. Um, and it further like just signifies like his bravery. Like, to your point, he did not have to do that. He did not have to go as deep as he
No.
went with her. But he did.
No. And
He did.
one of just like the moments that breaks me a little bit
Mm-hmm.
in this scene is when she says, "Have you told anyone that before?" And the way that Hudson just plays it, and he's like, "Ah!" I
It's
literally I
it's a
can't because
very that like stiff
it's
like
just
head.
like yes, it's the
Mm-hmm.
way that he's Hudson, I literally I can't I have no words. I just
The actor you
Hudson,
are.
the actor you are, the way you brought that scene to life in a way that when I read it, the emotional weight of it was not the same as when I watched him in real time process that like no,
Yeah,
like I haven't told anyone that I've had feelings about a man like this or that I'm gay, but I also
yeah,
have never been this truthful and this open about
yeah,
myself
yeah,
in
yeah.
my entire life. And that's
Yes.
sitting on someone who's 25, 26
Mm-hmm.
is like,
It's insane. It's
oh,
crazy. And yeah, to your point, the act like the emotional weight in the book is
mm,
nowhere near this. And I don't know Jacob's writing process. I don't know if he changes things day of. I figure he probably doesn't. But if he did, and he wrote that scene to be what it was in the books, and then he saw the acting ability of the Hudson Williams, I know he like, let me
the
go back in the lab
Hudson
and
Williams.
change this because what he
Well,
did in that scene was
it's
brilliant.
insane.
It's brilliant.
But Tyra, what's crazy to me? This is what's crazy. When we did our book episode a couple weeks ago,
Mhm.
well, it was longer than that at this point because we
Yeah, yeah.
batch film. But like when we did that episode, and I remember rereading Heated Rivalry, and I was like, dang, this scene was almost word for word, but
It
the
was that
emotional weight wasn't there.
it was
Yes,
wait, was it?
Tyra,
I gotta go back
Tyra,
and read it now because I
literally
remember that being so
almost,
short.
no, almost word for word. The difference is Hudson Williams.
Yeah.
Because you see the visual of how all of this is hitting Shane, and it is like, oh my gosh, like,
Mhm.
Shane
Yeah.
is just
And I want to give
both
Sophie Nalise
oh,
credit
oh, oh,
because of
yeah,
what she did.
she
Yeah,
did
she was a brilliant. She was
amazingly.
because no, I don't remember it being word for word, but let me go back and read it
Almost word
because
for
I'm
word.
just like, because that's crazy. Because like to your point, Nicole, when we
Crazy.
talked about reading this, it's just like there's not much here. Um,
Because it reads
and
like not that much
it
here.
reads
It's
like,
crazy.
and we also question why he would even be telling Rose in the first place because she's not
Because
she
who is
does not
she?
feel exactly, she does not have the gravitas that she has in the show. But yeah, them two doing their like pas de deux and like playing off each other in that scene, it's beautiful and it's such
They
good
have
acting.
great,
Um
great chemistry.
they
Oh,
have great chemistry,
great
but like
chemistry.
his subtlety in that scene, the weight of his subtlety is the thing that really hits you.
Woo!
Because it's
And then
just so heartbreaking.
when he discovers that what she's trying to do, like she's like, "This
Yes.
isn't working, what I'm trying to do," and then
Yes.
he's just like, "Well, what are you trying?" Like, I wanna
Yes.
go back and rewatch that scene now
Oh my
because
god. We will.
oh my
The
gosh.
blink, the like blink and then the tear, the like in the
Oh,
eye.
oh,
Shut up.
oh.
Like
The
get
thing is
out of here, Hudson Williams.
episode 5 has so much, but that scene, especially happening in the first, like, 5-10 minutes of the episode,
It's
set the
that.
tone for
It
what
did.
episode 5 would be, and I just Hudson Williams,
Mhm. When you guys,
king,
when we find it,
king.
when we do an acting episode, I think Nicole, it behooves us to bring some of our voice notes in, talking about that scene and just talking about the acting because y'all,
Woo!
we were gagged. This is not anything that we have not said to each
Gagged.
other before. We were just like, oh, this man is an actor, and once again pissed off that we had never seen these people in 20 films at
Ever.
this point.
The micro expressions in that scene alone were like, I knew everything
Get
Shane
out
was
of here,
thinking, I knew
girl.
everything he was feeling. I knew
And I
he
was
said
feeling
maybe
it.
3 words in the
And I was
I
stop.
remember we had to take a pause. Like we were
We
like,
did.
we have so much to go in this episode, and that is enough. Like I'm dead.
Sick. Sick.
Anyway,
Hudson Williams, you're
great
sick
honorable
for that.
mention. Great honorable
Yes.
mention.
So
Well,
this was a good list.
what a
This
list.
was
What a
a this
we were like, what a
was a good
list.
list. I'm like, Y'all are getting a supersized episode this week, okay?
Oh, yeah, there's not gonna be a
'Cause
lot of cutting because Shane Hollander deserves, first of all,
he
he deserves the
really
world.
does.
He deserves the world.
He deserves the world. And you know what, guys? Nicole, this is our 10th episode. Number 10.
That's exciting.
Wow.
I
Oh
feel
my
like this is like episode
gosh.
50. I feel like we've been talking about
And we really have, but it would not be half as fun without you guys in our community. You guys
No,
make everything so
literally.
much better. Every comment that we get from you guys, we share. We'll like send them back and forth, like, "Oh my god, did you see this?" And like, you guys are really
It's
amazing and
very
kind
deep.
humans.
And I have to
Like,
say, I have to say, there are some times where we film these episodes or editing where it's like, I'm so exhausted, or like, is anyone gonna care about this? Are we saying anything new? There's only
yeah,
6 episodes of television. Like, what can we say? And then when you all have nothing but nice things to say or like add on some really amazing commentary, it really makes all of this feel worth our time. And like,
it
we love
does.
doing this. And the only
We
reason we
do.
were doing this is because we were basically doing a podcast in our WhatsApp voice notes for
We-
weeks and months.
Weeks.
And so we wanted to find other people who wanted to join in. And so to be able to do this and talk to y'all and just
Exactly. And
explore
develop
this
this.
amazing show,
Yes, and
it's
develop this
a
wonderful
dream.
community. You guys like have such good insight. You have amazing comments, but you also like are conversing and talking to each other, and we love to see that as well. And so it feels like we're building a little family. And I think, Nicole, since we're amongst
But
family, maybe we should tease them about a little something with episode 11. We're doing a special episode. Episode
oh,
11 is going
okay.
to be
Well,
6 months
yeah,
to the day of
yeah,
the release of episode 4. Tune them
yeah.
out.
So we're gonna deep dive into episode 4, and as of today, we have some folks that we're gonna talk to about it.
Mhm.
Hopefully, by the time the episode airs, we have that. Like, who knows? If we don't, just
We
know that we did have it scheduled. Um, but we have some people that are close to the show that we were going to talk to just to deep dive into this episode, because we felt like episode 4, obviously episode 5 is a thing in mainstream that really cut through, and all the people who weren't into Heated Rivalry started watching. But this was the episode for those who were still watching the show that were like,
Exactly.
oh,
The
this was a
shift
game
happened.
changer. The
Oh, for
shift
sure.
happened.
When we got to that sequence in
So,
episode at the end of episode 4, and we'll talk about it, you guys, in our next podcast episode, but we have
oh
like
yeah, I
we have some
mean,
good insights
and we
coming from
can't
some.
wait to hear what you all think
We
about episode
can't.
4,
I
because there's
can't, you
so
know,
much.
I can't wait for you guys to see this episode. I'm very excited about it, but I wanted to share that between family. But that is it, you guys. Like and subscribe. Ring the notification bell, comment, and we will talk to you guys on the next one. Bye.
Bye.